Okay, so let's set the scene. It's Christmas morning, 1980. You're a young 6-year-old, me, and you've gotten up at probably 3:30 in the morning to open your Christmas presents, and your mum and dad are obviously angry, but they know it's Christmas morning, so they just let you get on with it. And they go downstairs with you and they watch you open your Christmas presents. And you start to open your Christmas presents, and you get the usual. You get the jumpers, the socks, the books, and some board games and toys. And you've opened all your Christmas presents, and you think you're done. And then your mum goes upstairs, and she comes downstairs with this huge box, and you begin to open it, and you tear away slowly the wrapping paper, and you see the iconic words Star Wars on the box, and you realise it's this. So I remember the first time I saw an AT-AT, and that stands for All Terrain Armoured Transport. And I was in the cinema with my family watching Empire Strikes Back, and then it was the iconic Hoth battle scene. All you see is like a cloud in the distance, and then from that cloud you start to see these ginormous robotic looking creatures slowly stomp their way out of this cloud. And as a young kid, as a 6-year-old, you're in the cinema and you're just blown away by this. You're just totally amazed. And the first thought that came through my head was, I hope they make this into a toy, because I really want this this robotic monstrosity. And that Christmas my wish was granted, and I got the AT-AT. I have really fond memories of playing with this thing with my friends, taking it outside. We all had Star Wars figures and Star Wars toys. We'd go down to the park and we'd reenact the scene from Empire Strikes Back with our Star Wars figures and our transports and scout walkers and all that sort of thing. And it was just a great time. It really was. And I'm really glad to see that in the new film, Rogue One, that's coming out in a couple of months, that we're getting the AT-ATs again. And it's a thought that kids are going to have that experience that I had when I first saw these things in action, and it just, it's bringing it back to a whole new generation. The magic of what Star Wars actually is. I love Star Wars. I always have done, and it's been one of my favourite movie franchises. And even the prequels are a guilty pleasure. I didn't really enjoy Episode 1. But I thought Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith were okay. But, if you love Star Wars, you kind of, they're your guilty pleasure sort of thing. But back to the AT-AT. It's an amazing toy. It really is. And so now we're going to go and take a look at my AT-AT that I got back in Christmas 1980. So let's take a look at that. So this is my AT-AT, and as I stated before, this is mine from when I was a kid. I woke up to this one Christmas morning and I was blown away. This was every kid's dream back in the 80s. If you were a Star Wars fan, which most kids were in the 80s, that was like our big movie franchise sort of thing that everybody really got into. And you woke up to this on Christmas morning. This and the Millennium Falcon, and your Christmas was made. It really was. I do have the smaller version of this, the AT-ST, which is the All Terrain Scout Transport, and that's there, and that will be for another video. So yeah, but back to this one. Yeah, it's a bit grubby. It's got a lot of dust on it. Like I said, it's been played with relentlessly when I was a kid, and it was just an awesome toy. You could store your stormtroopers inside this little thing inside here. Have a look in there. It's quite big actually. And if you look at this here, I didn't even realise I know there's a handle in it, and this button here you'd press it, and the gun turrets would move on the AT-AT. But if you look at the handle, and as I'm doing it, if you push the handle in, it actually moves the AT-AT's head up, and that's from Empire Strikes Back, when it looks up and it takes out a snowspeeder with its gun turrets. Yeah, I didn't even realise that as a kid, that you could push that in and actually do that, because there wasn't anything on the box that actually told you that it did that, which is amazing. And another thing, if you had one of these when you were a kid, you would, you know about the ratchet joints. The ratchet joints sound like you're actually breaking it. Well, they did, you know. When it was brand new, they would make such a racket that your mum would come running and saying, "I hope you're not breaking that." But yeah, they were really, really loud ratchet joints. As you can see, they're really stiff now, even. They don't make toys like this, like they used to, anymore. I know there's another version of this out now, an up-to-date version of the AT-AT, but like I said, this has fond memories for me. This is what I woke up to on Christmas morning, and I loved it. I really did. So if we look at it from the front view, it looks pretty awesome, the front view. And it's missing some parts. Underneath there used to be the gun turrets. Now, these were like clear plastic things, and in the 80s, clear plastic was brittle as hell. You only had to touch it and it would snap off and it would break. And it was the same situation that I had with my snowspeeder. Why the guns are missing on that too. It's because it was just so brittle plastic that the slightest knock, it would just snap off. And that was an issue with the toys of the 80s and 90s and stuff. Some of the plastic, some Transformer fans, if they're watching this, will know what I'm talking about when I talk about gold plastic. Gold plastic was, you would have to look at it and it would shatter. And it was the same with the clear plastic they used on the AT-AT's actual gun turrets. They would just break off. And as such, they're like rocking horse shit now to try and replace those things. And, you know, I've looked at some on eBay, and they're really expensive. And some of the time, it's not even the original gun turrets, and it just doesn't look right. So what would happen was, you would press the handle inside the AT-AT, it would light up. There's a little bulb there, if you can actually see that. There's a little bulb there. That's the original bulb that I had when I was a kid, and it still works. So that's a credit to the workmanship on that. And that would light up, and the gun turrets would turn red, and you know they would fire. There was no actual sound effect. There was no sound effect to it. It didn't make the sound effect like it did in the film. The gun turrets just went like in and out and moved and lit up. But it was still awesome. You know, you used your imagination back in the 80s to imagine it firing and taking out rebels and all that sort of stuff. So if we take a look at the head, there's a little hatch here that you can open up, and this is where your AT-AT pilots would sit driving the AT-AT, and they're the original stickers in there that I put on as a kid as well. So yeah, that's the AT-AT. Just for a little bit of a size comparison, I'll show you a figure of the time. This is actually Han Solo, and this is an original 80s figure. This is the Hoth Han Solo, and if we put him down there, if he'll stand up, you can see the actual size of the AT-AT, which isn't a bad size comparison when you look at it like that. When you look at the movie, and you see Luke Skywalker fire up the grappling hook to go up inside and destroy the AT-AT, it's a really, really good size comparison with the figures. I think that's something the 80s did quite well. They really did do their scales pretty good. So yeah, so that was the AT-AT. So just as a bit of trivia, the guy who played General Veers in Empire Strikes Back also appeared in Game of Thrones. He was the advisor to Cersei Lannister. He was I can't remember the guy's name. He was the oldish guy, and unfortunately, in the last season of Game of Thrones, spoiler alert, he met a rather sticky end. He got stabbed to death, so you'll not be seeing him in Game of Thrones anymore. I just thought that was a nice bit of movie trivia to add to this video too. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, starting with this video, every month I'm going to upload a video, and I'm going to take an item from the top shelf up there. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it like I've done in this video, and toys from the past sort of thing, because I've got lots of stuff up there, and turn it into a kind of a series, and you know, make it a bit more interesting, break things up with videos and stuff. So yeah, watch out later, because I'm going to be doing a brand new channel trailer for this channel. So watch out for that. And basically, I'm just going to be telling you what is going to be happening on this channel and what you can expect from it. So this is Agent 117 signing off.